understand we're in the watershed, but I don't think as a community we should be penalized financially, because we are in the watershed. DEP is.
But you are penalized.
I realize that, but I think there should be something to compensate this area for lost revenue, lost jobs. And
We're very much, if you want to understand fights that we have, I'm sure my folks are all smiling over there. For the longest time, New York City DEP, and this is an argument that I haven't made right to them, so I've had this conversation with Mike Bloomberg. They have used the fact that they are a Goliath to take on small towns, ill-equipped to take them on in court, and they know it, and they've used that to their advantage. So they passed legislation a long time ago that disadvantages. They continue to pass legislation in Albany that disadvantages all of you. They will advance it they will put them in a greater and greater position of strength. In many ways, this portion of Ulster County is like an occupied country. Absolutely, they have their own police force. You can't do as you see fit on your own property. Your town planning and zoning doesn't apply. That's the reality of this situation. Well, now, this is where this new form of government can really come into play. Instead of Hardenburgh having Hardenburgh v. New York City, all the residents of Ulster County, 183,000 of us, band together in this new form of government, and we take them on. Now, we fought them as they were dumping out of the reservoir into the lower Esopus. They were dumping an enormous amount of highly turbid water on us. Okay? There were pictures that showed both basins, the water that they took, spots so clean. They were beautiful. I love Ulster County water. It is spectacular. And then they had the turbid side. That's what they were dumping on us. Okay? To put it in context, if you took a gallon of the water that they were dumping on us, and I dumped it in the reservoir, I'm subject to a fine of $37,000. They dumped 50 billion gallons on us. Now, we're used to, it rains a lot, water comes down like a bat out of heck, rushes through, it's turbid for 2-3 days, and then it goes back to this pristine, clean, spectacular water that we've all grown accustomed to. Well, that's not what was going on there. They were dumping highly turbid water down the lower Esopus through this waste channel for 113 days in a row. We have no idea what it was doing because that's what, by the way, there's a great deal of farmland in Hurley. They use it for irrigation, and they could never use it for irrigation because it clogs up the irrigation machines. And even if they could, the quality of the corn, in this case, drops from some of the highest standards in the whole country down to cattle feed. Well, you know what the drop-off of that is in dollars for those farmers? By the way, agriculture in Ulster County is a $500 million operation. We're talking about serious dollars.
Serious.
This water then would make its way through town of Ulster, right near the city of Kingston, and then go into up past Sorbies. There was a beach in Sorbies. If you're familiar with Sorbies at all, when you go into the village, there's a bridge there. Off to your left, it's been there for generations. It's a beach, it's a public recreation space. We couldn't open. Our health department said, if this is summertime, I can't open this. If you have a public swimming hall, the health department comes and take a disc. They drop it in the water. They need to be able to see about 4 feet down to make sure kids get saved and they don't drown. If you took this disc and put it in this water, you couldn't see it 1 foot down. So they would have to close it. There's a dam there. It's been silted over in many respects. Then the water was going over, more silt down below. In fact, so much so that Senator Schumer's been talking now, you hear him talking about dredging and things. If you've heard that, that's why. All that highly turbid water there. Then this water was hitting the Hudson and heading south. The problem was, the first place it ran into was the town of Esopus drinking water intake. They had turbidity levels off the charts. Now, I can't tell you whether there's a direct line correlation between this, but they're doing this, and we have historic levels of turbidity in the water in Esopus. It's pretty close to be able to a direct line. Anyway, I stepped back with my people and I said, this is one of those things that just comes to a point where you try to work with people. This is flat wrong. When did the health of the kid in Esopus or in Ulster County become less important than drinking water for an individual in Manhattan? When did that happen? When did we sign up for that? I don't remember signing up for that. So we're going to try to work with them, and it didn't work. So we went to war. This is where it changes. This is the change now, with this form of government versus other forms. We got their attention. What we did was, we brought in the same firm that forced GE to dredge the Hudson. Okay? That got their attention. We then began to bring in places like River Cuban, large environmental groups. We worked with the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, the New York Times, all to be able to really highlight what they were doing. They were polluting. Started to call them the Department of Environmental Pollution. They hated that. They hate that. But we got their attention, and we got them to stop. First time in 107 years of relationship between New York City and the residents of Ulster County, we took them on, we beat them. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you're talking a lot about the advantages of having this form of government that Ulster County now has.
Like it.
Of course. Do you think that a place like Delaware County, which is currently run by a board of supervisors, would have more negotiating power with an entity like the city if they were to change to a similar form of government?
I can't answer that. I mean, it's a significant population difference. I think Delaware County's got about 55,000 people in it, roughly speaking. I'm in the ballpark. If I'm not exact, I'm close.
I could say it'd be a huge, huge benefit to them.
Okay.
The Board of Supervisors is like the Ulster County Legislature. It has been broke forever.
Ultimately, what it comes down to is I'm a big believer in having one person ultimately accountable. In general. I mean, you have a CEO of a company for a reason. If they do a bad job, they fire them and they get somebody else. So the manager of the Yankees for a reason. They do a bad job, they fire them. They fired them a lot, didn't they, for a while? But that's the reality. Somebody, whoever that may be, has to be ultimately accountable. When you have groups ultimately accountable, you tend to have a lack of accountability. That's just my personal belief.